All right, so welcome everybody, and thank you to Investor Inspiration for letting us showcase what we do for you folks. Now, we're going to go into a lot of things, and I'm going to go through it relatively quickly. There's an awful lot of things that you're going to see in here today, and that you've probably seen in trading over the years, and I struggled with all of that over the years, and ultimately found my way out of the struggle with kind of thinking on my own about how I might go about changing the way I was approaching trading. All right. So first of all, a little bit about me, so you kind of know where I'm coming from. I was just a regular guy that wanted to learn how to trade, also looking to change my current situation in my life. I was a remodeling contractor for a little over 20 years, and actually enjoyed it, but you know, it's a tough business, and I've been doing it for a long time, worked really hard at it, was very successful at it, but I got introduced to trading through a client, and he was learning how to trade, and I started learning, and I started thinking, wow, this is really cool. I could actually replace my income in a very short time, because, you know, I'm pretty smart, and I can, you know, figure things out. And yeah, I heard that 90%, 95% of the people that try trading pretty much fail. And so I decided that, you know, since I'm pretty smart, I'll figure it out. Take me about 6 months. I can go ahead and retire from my remodeling business. Well, I think that's probably a pretty common story, whether it's from your job or your own company. And I tried it for 7 years, and I struggled for 7 years. And something really big happened. Now, there are other venues to discuss that, because that's a pretty big topic. Something that really big that happened has actually been recorded, and is being used as a training manual that we have for our Trader RX training program. But you can ask me about it at another venue. We're going to invite you to some other things that we're doing. So I've been a professional full-time trader for 9 years. I subsequently became a trading educator, which is kind of bizarre to me, because for so many years I was looking for somebody to teach me. And what I finally found was that all of this education that I was getting was not, I'll tell you what, the day I decided to do this was after 7 years. I was no further along than I was day one. That was kind of an eye-opening experience for me when I sat back one day, and I just exasperated. I just had it, and I'm like, am I any better today? Seriously, am I any further along, besides having lots of information that I've collected? Am I any further along with my trading than I was day one? And I really couldn't say that I was. And so now, after all this time, I've rethought this whole trading thing. I ended up developing a trading system and some trading indicators to help some friends of mine that I used to trade with on Skype, so that they quit asking me questions and I could just get on with it. So you'll notice here on every slide, everybody can see this, right? On every slide at the bottom, I've got 2 different email addresses. Because the chat here is not interactive, and my assistants can't necessarily see what the questions are, they're here to actually help answer questions. There are a couple of ways we can do this. You can send an email immediately, and they'll be responding to emails as I go on today. There is also a chat box on the side of our website. So if you go to theintentionaltrader.com, you'll see a little chat thing. It's actually down at the bottom. That is also being monitored. so that if you have questions that that are more immediate and can't wait until later, feel free to go to our website and use that chat. Or you can ask here. I just found out that Lisa is actually here and can help answer questions. I will not be reading the chat, okay? So just make sure that if you have questions, go ahead and ask them, but don't expect that I'm going to stop and answer the questions. Lisa will take care of that, or you can send us an email, okay? All right, also let you know about an event that we have coming up next week. It actually dovetails really nicely with what we're doing today. We already have a 3-day training event scheduled for next week, and this is only for people that are existing or brand new bunt traders that have one of our packages. And so we're going to have a 3-day event that's going to go over everything in very focused and concentrated detail on how to get started, get your chart set up, get why bunt trading works, how the trade setups work. We're going to talk about risk tolerance levels and rules of trade setups, and how you can adjust the rules ever so slightly to be either an aggressive trader or a very conservative trader or somewhere in between. Then the next day we're going to, this will be just for our VIPs, but we're going to start you out in our group mentoring program and then teach you about our accelerated learning system that we call our Fast Forward program, and teach you more about how to use NinjaTrader's Market Replay. We use NinjaTrader. We develop for NinjaTrader. If you don't use NinjaTrader, don't worry about it because it's free. A lot of people think they have to spend $1,000 to use NinjaTrader, but they do not. It is absolutely free to use until you start placing trades. And you can actually place trades with your own trading platform, but use NinjaTrader's free charting. Okay, so that's something a lot of people don't know or understand. But as we've been able to let more and more people know, we have a lot of people that trade on their TradeStation platform and use NinjaTrader and our indicators, which also includes Market Replay, which is a tremendous tool. And then day 3, we're going to go into more concentrated fine-tuning of the trade setups, other ways that our indicators can be used. We trade pullbacks. We trade futures in our trade room, and we trade pullbacks. You heard a little bit about pullbacks or retracements a few minutes ago. Excuse me. So we're going to talk about other ways that you can use those indicators. For example, using them on if you're a long-term trend trader, you'll know that every series, every trend has a series of pullbacks or retracements. You can use our indicators and setups to help you identify where to scale out of your trades. Okay. We're also going to go into using our indicators and our setups in a strategy and how to use them in a Bloodhound. For those of you that don't know, Bloodhound is a strategy creation software, and Raven is something that will execute that strategy, and we have templates for that. And in fact, Lisa, who's here answering questions for you, is very proficient using Bloodhound, and will be showing us how to do it. So that's our 3-day event that we have going on next week. Excuse me. So I'm going to ask all of you today to kind of adjust your perspective, at least for the time that we're together, okay? At least while you're listening, I want you to at least have an open mind to thinking about trading a little bit differently than you may have been thinking about it. Maybe don't try to think that there's a certain amount of information you have, and so you know certain things that don't apply to what I'm saying. I'd like you to try to drop those for a little while. And the problem with perspective is a lot of times we think we know what we're seeing, but in fact, what we're seeing is not really true, okay? So you'll notice that this is exactly what happens in trading. This is exactly what happens when you hear about certain styles of trading, certain trading systems, certain programs. It may not be exactly what you think you're seeing. So what I'm about to tell you also, you need to, so that you're not so locked in, keep an open mind just for a few minutes, okay? Now, I'm going to talk about my experience. I told you I had a really tough time learning how to trade. And everything that I learned, everything that I knew was about trend trading and trend trading over a longer period of time. Okay, so that was the norm, or is the norm. It still is the norm. The problem I had over my entire previous trading career before I kind of started rethinking this was every time I entered a trade, I became an emotional puddle of mush every single time. Now, one of the things that I identified was the fact that markets don't move in one direction, right? They tend to oscillate back and forth, up and down, right? So if you're looking to ride a trade over a period of time, that was my emotional roller coaster. Okay, and what I found is it turns into an emotional roller coaster for a lot of people. So I would enter a trade, and of course, what are we all doing when we enter a trade? The very primary emotion that we're feeling is probably hope and fear. Okay. So then the trade may go in our favor and then start to turn against us, and we start to stress a little bit, but the rules say to stay in the trade, and then it goes against you and you start getting angry, and then it goes in your favor and you're thinking, oh man, it's going to the moon, and then off it goes and it drops, and you're thinking, man, I should have gotten out when I had a profit. Yes, I wasn't there yet, but I had all this money, and now, oh heck, I'm just going to quit. And what happens when you quit? Then it goes straight to target, right? Then your trade goes straight to target. So this was me in trading. And no matter what I tried, no matter who I listened to, no matter how much sense this presentation I was listening to made sense to me, the guy scrolling his charts around and putting stuff on it and putting little arrows and lines and making it so compelling, it felt so compelling to me that I had to just get involved in that. And what happened was the emotional part of the mechanics of trading was something I was not prepared to deal with or taught to deal with. Okay, I just heard trade like a machine, follow your rules, trade like a machine. Okay, sounded good. I thought, sure, I'll do that. And I might have been able to do that for a little while. Here's something that somebody never told me. It is nearly impossible. I had to learn this the hard way. And I'm hoping that someday you guys may learn this if you're struggling, okay? And that's why I say it's nearly impossible. It's not impossible, but it's nearly impossible for single contract or small lot traders to ride a trend because of emotions. And it's very difficult for them, if you're single lot or small lot traders, it's very difficult to make any money as a trend trader, because in order to make money you have to scale through a trade. During all of the pullbacks in a trend, as a pullback begins to happen, you need to be able to scale or know when to scale. Okay, so we've all heard the statistics, right? We've all been in trading for at least a little while, right? We've all heard the statistics that 95% of the traders that trade will ultimately fail or will not succeed. And most of the time it's because they will not be able to overcome their emotions. Okay? That's the premise behind what I'm going to talk about today. Okay? I started thinking, what would happen if I could be guaranteed, okay, if there was a guarantee that every time I sat down at the computer to start trading, and I could win only 2 ticks, if I was guaranteed, what would be my income limiting factors? Meaning, what would keep me from making as much money as I wanted? So I pondered that question because while I was trading and struggling and doing all these things, I always felt that I could get 2 ticks, that I knew enough or had enough confidence, that I had enough experience watching the markets, that I could do 2 ticks. But the inevitable question is, why bother, right? What does 2 ticks get you, right? You might get lunch or, a few donuts, some coffee, maybe something to help you with the aches and pains and upset stomach from trading. So why bother, right? I'm looking to make a living at trading. I want to make a lot of money, not just a living, but man, if I could just figure out when to push the button, there's no limits to how rich I could get. This was for 7 years what was going on in my mind. You know what you get from 2 ticks? If you can walk away from trading as a winner that day, and I don't care if it's 2 ticks or 200 ticks, and I call them ticks, Forex traders call them pips, it's the same thing, okay? Ticks, pips, it's the single increment, okay, of whatever instrument you're trading. It's an increment, okay? What I decided that I needed more than a bunch of ticks was the confidence that I could actually do this trading thing. And the only way I could earn that confidence was if I could walk away from the trading day, whatever trading session I was trading, a winner. That's all. Walk away without having just lost a bunch of money. Started thinking about this, that my weakness was my confidence. Now, how can I fix that? So in order to fix that, I'm going to tell you a little story. When I was in my mid-20s, oh, by the way, I could show you lots of charts. I could scan charts around and draw a whole bunch of stuff on charts. That is about 20% of what you need to know as a trader. I learned this the hard way. If you want to see me scroll around on charts and point at things and talk about how much money you can make, that's not really what I'm going to do here. Now, next week I'll do lots of stuff on charts, and I'll show you very specific things on charts. But there's funny things about scrolling around on static charts. They look great in hindsight. They're very difficult to show or to recreate live. Okay, I think many of you may have already experienced that. So if you're here just to see trades and trade setups, I'm going to show you a little bit, but I'm going to show it to you on a live chart that's actually moving. Okay, the stuff I'm going to be talking to you now about is what we call the other 80%. The things that I need you to do to somewhat change your perspective, to try to, for a few minutes, rethink this whole trading thing. Now, if you think you already know enough about trading and that you just need to know when to pull the trigger, you may want to not sit through the rest of this. Okay? This is very important foundational things. You can't build a house until you have a strong foundation. The problem is many of us don't have a good foundation. Okay? So let me tell you about Bill and the Rusty Clubs. I was in my mid-20s and very physically fit, very full of myself, decided to take up golf. And so when I decided to take up golf, I went out and bought the best golf clubs I could afford at the time, which, I mean, was way more than I could afford. But I basically went to the golf shop and said, give me the best you have. Even the best bag I had. Man, I did everything that I saw the pros on TV did. I did that to get ready to go learn how to play golf. Okay, so I was taking my golf clubs out of my trunk one day, and the old man that lived across the street from me, his name was Bill. Bill says, "Oh, you play golf?" And I'm like, "Yeah, I'm learning, and I'm doing pretty good." And Bill said, "Well, how about you and me go play golf sometime?" And I said, yeah, right. I'm looking at the old man. I'm like, okay, well, sure. He goes, okay, Saturday, let's go play golf. I'm like, uh-oh. You mean really? He says, yeah, I'll take you to my golf, where I go play golf. Some municipal court out in the middle of nowhere, course out in the middle of nowhere. So I said, okay, I'll meet you out in the driveway. We lived in some townhouses, so our houses all real close to each other. I said, I'll meet you in the driveway here in the morning. So I'm coming out of the house with looking like I just won the Masters. And Bill shows up with 3 golf clubs that look very much like these golf clubs. And that's it. And they were all rusty, and he got them in a garage sale. And I thought, oh no. I thought Bill knew how to play golf. And Bill was like 80 years old, okay? So I thought, oh, this is going to be a really long day. Oh boy. All right, well, he's a nice guy. I'll go ahead and endure it. Okay, so here's how the story goes. We're out on this course. This is a municipal course, so it didn't look anything like this. We get out on the golf course, and of course I am going to just crush it, because this is what I see on TV, right? This is golf. This is what golf is all about. You get up and you crush it down the fairway. So I had spent a lot of time crushing it on the driving range. Very little time doing anything else, because the driving range is really showy stuff, right? So I decide I'm going to just wail on it. And boy, does it go a long way. 2 fairways over. But a long way, because I put all this power into it. Of course, it had a lot of spin on it too, and it kind of ended up over in the trees over 2 fairways away. So while I'm over there looking for my ball, Bill just walks up, takes his rusty old club, puts it on the tee, and just pokes at it. Okay? Just a little light little swing, and just hits it straight right down the fairway. Of course, I'm out in the weeds now, still looking for my golf ball. And Bill takes his next shot, just a little chip shot, nothing big, just a nice easy swing, just straight, easy. Of course, I finally find my ball, and I smack it, and it goes in the next set of trees. And at this time, Bill's just kind of slowly shuffling along, smiling, having a good old time, just enjoying the day, drops it on the green. Of course, I finally find my ball, and I smack it, and off it goes, you know, across the fairway, and on and on and on, okay? So this was my day with Bill, dragging my, I don't know how much I spent on this bag and clubs, and I finally get it in the first hole. Bill's in on 3 or 4, I'm at like 10, okay? So I'm in my mid-20s, and Bill did this to me all day. He was doing this all day long. Unbelievable. He was in the 70s, as I recall. Of course, I was on 120, 130, I don't know. And so you would think I learned something from Bill, right? Absolutely not. Because, why? I had an understanding of what golf was because I watched it on TV. I read books and magazines, and back then it was VCR tapes that I rented at the video rental store. Remember those? So from my personal observations, I knew what it took to be a good golfer. I knew that I had to hit the ball a certain way. I knew what it took to be good, and that Bill was not doing what that was. So what did I learn from Bill? Nothing. Initially. I had to get a lot older and a lot smarter before it finally came to me that what Bill was doing, and that this is exactly what I need to be doing for my trading. Okay? He taught me I need to get good at something simple. Just do the same thing, very simple thing, over and over and over again. You don't need to be fancy to be good. You don't need a whole bunch of golf clubs to be good. Man, did I had multiples of certain types of wedges that I didn't even know how to use, but I had them. Quality beats quantity every time. Don't try to do what the pros do. Don't try to model yourself after a pro, okay? The pros have a whole different way of approaching golf and trading than you do or than you will ever do, okay? For example, let's just say you want to be a pro golfer. How many hours do you think you have to spend at the driving range, at the putting green, and the sand traps before you can even qualify to try to be a pro golfer? Do you want to spend that kind of time doing that? That's what professional traders do. There is not a time to learn how to push a button and that's all you have to do. Professional traders, people that trade for a living, spend an awful lot of time devoted to trading, not necessarily during the trading hours. Okay, we'll talk more about that next week. Being consistent is more important than potentially big gains. You know, I was wanting to crush it down the fairway because of the big gain, but instead I sent it 2 fairways over in the trees, which cost me many strokes, often and regularly. That's the same thing in trading. You try to swing for the fences, you're going to strike out more than not. Trading is very easy to make complicated. Like I said, I had all those wedges, and then I had to figure out which one to use for which shot, and really I didn't have the first clue what I was doing with any of them. Bill was very patient with me, walking around looking for my ball all day. It was great. And all he needed was just an easy, he knew he was going to get there. He just had to go slow and easy. It's more about what's in your head than what's in your hands, okay? As a trader, it's all the charts and time frames and indicators and all of these other toys that you go out and buy or try and download, and all of this other information that you collect and save and hold and covet are things that you have in your hands. It's all about how you use your head is what really makes a difference. Now, let's go back to the 2-tick premise. You need to start with the basics, basic of a simple trading system. You want to go and get 2 ticks, net trading for the entire session. 2 ticks net. I mean a net. If you first trade, you lose 5 ticks, then you ultimately need to work your way up to a 2-tick winner, okay? When you hit 2 ticks, net winners, I don't care what don't start going into commissions, don't talk to me about anything else. This is an exercise in ending the day as a winning trader because you won 2 ticks. We're not talking about money here. We're building a foundation or creating a foundation from which to build a profitable trading career, okay? You've got to build the foundation first. You're going to set a goal to see how many consecutive days you can end the trading session as a winner, okay? Hit your goal. Now, instead of 2 ticks, go for 3 ticks. And do this over and over and over again until you hit your comfort zone. Okay? You may get to a point where you're going for more and more ticks, and you realize the more ticks you're going for, the more emotions come flooding back in. Okay? The more fear and hope and greed and panic and despair and anger, all those come flooding back in. The longer you're in a trade, the more speculative that trade becomes, the more emotions begin to control your trading. Okay? It's proven. Think about it. And eventually, when you find that sweet spot, you're going to eventually increase, not go beyond your sweet spot, but instead of trading 1 contract, now trade 2. Okay? Remember, I'm asking you to change your perspective here. And by the way, I'm a futures trader. We have forex traders and stock traders and a lot of people that trade using this system. We apply it to futures, and it works very well for futures. But you can trade anything as long as it's a liquid market and there are other people interested in trading what we trade. It works fine. So here's some very simple numbers. Take a screenshot of this if you want. Do you have to make a lot of money at trading initially? Or can you slowly grow to where you need to be? Okay? Or where you want to be? So there are a lot of faulty assumptions and expectations about trading. I'm good at numbers, I'll be good at trading. Here's the thing about trading. There are a lot of very smart people writing a lot of very smart algorithms for trading, right? And they're all numerical. And what I want to ask you very quickly, I need to move a little bit faster here, very quickly, what are we measuring? Think about it, and I'm going to bet you, unless you've seen one of my presentations before, you don't know. You're going to say price, volume, volatility, liquidity. You're going to pick a whole bunch of things, but what are we actually measuring when we're applying algorithms? We're trying to quantify and measure people's thoughts, feelings, and emotions about price at a particular period in time. That's it. That's all we're doing. People's feelings and emotions are what makes the markets move. Yes, I know about HFTs and all that stuff, and we'll go into that. They're only in and out of the markets a very short period of time. When you see markets moving, it's because somebody somewhere believes price is going to do something, and there's somebody somewhere else that believes it's going to do the opposite thing, and therefore price moves. Now, how do we quantify people's thoughts, feelings, and emotions? So I thought about that, and I thought, you know what? I'm going to wipe the slate clean. I'm going to start over. I'm going to get rid of everything I think I know, because everything that I have learned over 7 years has netted me exactly $0. In fact, has lost me quite a bit. So why keep using that? So I decided I'm going to wipe the slate clean, and I decided I'm going to rethink this whole thing myself, because as a contractor, my job, especially a remodeling contractor, my job was to solve problems for people. And I had to think about all these problems and how I was going to solve it for them. Yet I was not approaching trading that way. I was looking for other people to solve my trading problem. And instead I decided, okay, I'm going to now approach it with one of my best skills, and that is problem solving. So I started thinking about this trading thing, and I started thinking, okay, if it's people, if I'm trying to measure what people are thinking and feeling, all the people in the market, what are the chances I'm going to be able to do it during, a long extended periods of times? On an average day, you look at a crowd like this, how many thoughts, feelings, and emotions, and combinations of thoughts, feelings, and emotions do you feel like there might be in this crowd? There'd be millions. Millions. I couldn't tell you what this crowd is likely to do as a group by just observing them. So here's another example. Here's a group of people. How many thoughts, feelings, and emotions, or combinations of thoughts, feelings, and emotions are going through their minds right now? Only a few, right? Probably fear of injury, and they need to protect themselves from some harm. Now, that's a lot easier to quantify. That's a lot easier to get my brains around. So am I going to try to use complex algorithms, which really is way, way over my head? Or do I want to think about this trading thing as people watching and knowing and understanding what it is that makes people think? Okay? So I took a chart, or not think, but what it does make people react. Okay? So I took a chart, and this could be any chart. I mean, any trading chart, any time frame, any type of chart, or whatever. And I'm looking at this, and I'm like, okay, where can I see that something caused something to happen? So I look at this chart, and I start noticing, okay, price stops and turns. And why? Why did it stop and turn? So I started measuring what was happening just before price stopped and turned. And I looked at all of the conditions that were in the markets at that time. And I started noticing that there were a lot of things going on during that time that weren't going on at other times. This is where the bunt trading started. This is where our indicator package started. Okay, so I got this aha idea. So instead of trying to figure out what they're thinking, why don't I try to figure out what they're thinking when something sudden and unexpected happens? Okay, 5 minutes from now, I have no idea what these people are doing. An hour from now, they could be in their car, they could still be watching the game, they could be getting a beer in the bathroom. Who knows what they're going to be thinking? But right after this event, I know exactly what they're doing. They all, as soon as the danger passed, they all put their hands down, and they all kind of giggled and laughed a little bit as long as nobody was really hurt. Okay? I know that's what happened, and there's no video to tell me that. But I know they all put their hands down, all pretty much at the same time. That's an edge. So when you're looking at a chart that looks like this, I'm looking at people acting to a stimulus in a predictable way, and I know exactly what they're going to do next. So here's just a basic chart. I put our indicators on it. We now have an edge to understand what's likely to happen next. Okay? These are some of our trade setups. Now, just because an indicator is on a chart doesn't mean that it's a setup. It simply means that a condition exists that created that indicator. Oh, hold on a second. Let me pull up. I'm going to show you a little video. I told you I'd show you some live trading. And let's see, where'd that video go? Hold on just a second. Well, of course, it's not coming. Oh, there it is. All right. So let's look at what an example of what I was talking about. Now, the only way to really truly understand what's happening in a trading system is to watch it happen on live charts. I struggled for so long with people showing me and scrolling through static charts and feeling like it was very compelling what they were, because I believe this is one of those things where it's not always what you see is what's happening. So I believe static charts. I don't ever do anything with static charts anymore because I failed trading static chart examples for so long. It never worked the same live. So now everything I do is I'm going to show you actual moving charts. Okay, So this can look like pretty much any other day in trading, right? So you just see price moving. You're not really sure why it's doing what it's doing. Now let's look at that same thing with some indicators applied. Notice we get indicators, but they don't necessarily mean a trade setup. Now we've got a trade setup. Boom, right there. I'll teach you this next week. That's where you enter a trade. Boom, off you go. All right? Boom, there it is right there. This is what we call our Rockstar trade setup now. It actually is called a speed flash, but it got nicknamed the Rockstar. We're looking at momentum, strong momentum. We're looking at a strong push. We're looking for an exhaustion, a period of exhaustion. And when that happens, there's a lot of things happening inside this bar that we're going to talk about next week and why this happens. This isn't random from observation. There's a reason why this happens. This is not just experience and empirical observations. This happens for a very specific reason. We're going to show you that next week. And we have exhaustion setting in and then price drops. That's the sudden, see this bar? Sudden and unexpected. All right, now I'm going to keep moving forward, talk a little bit more about responses. That's really how you make money in the market. You study people's responses to certain events. And if you see the events happening, then you know responses that the typical response is coming. Told you I'd talk about these HFTs, these market makers, the big money. They do this to us every day, right? They create events that cause us to respond. They do it over and over and over again. They have a very specific way of doing it. This, because we know what they're doing and we know when they're doing it, this is our sweet spot. This is what we're looking for. This is what we can pick up almost every time. Okay? Not why? Because most people aren't really looking for that. They're looking for this, right? We're looking at lots of opportunities throughout the trend. Okay? I'm going to go through this a little bit more quickly. I'm running out of time. This is our pullback alert. This will tell us when there's different types of volume coming into a bar, even though the bar looks very much the same. Instead of that, we just show you that there's volume in here that's going to typically cause a pullback. Okay? And we make it very simple. It's really easy to make trading complicated. We make it very, very simple for you. This is our Rockstar setup. This is a setup. This is exactly how it looks. Yes, you see other indicators on the chart. Simply indicates that a condition exists, not necessarily the confluence of conditions that we're looking for. This is our order flow indicator at the rate that orders are coming into the market. This often predicts where price is going to be getting very tired and needing to pull back. We have several divergence indicators that, combined with order flow, is amazing. That's how it got the Rockstar set up. So we use a lot of divergence with a very simple, complicated algorithm, but very simple indicator. In fact, we've just created a new one called the Super D. It has 7 different oscillators inside of it. We have a relative order flow that when basically it's like a drag racer. When it takes off, then you know that price is going to be getting tired. We're constantly measuring for exhaustion. That's where our strength is. We use support and resistance also, and that's our defensive position. Okay? We use overbought and oversold, but instead of using an oscillator, we just mark it right on the chart, right where your eyes are. So confluence is really what we're all about. and I'm going to zip through this because we're going to do this next week. Now, if you sign up now, I'm going to give you, first I want you to take this 2-tick challenge, okay? The challenge is trade for 2-tick winner and then stop trading live. See how many days, then finish that session in Sim and see how many days you can do that. Or how many days in a month. See what happens to your confidence. Your confidence is going to build the foundation. Once you build that foundation, start increasing your lots traded, okay? We have a lot of information on our website if you want to, I could talk all day and I could tell you we're awesome and everything's great and people love us, or you could listen to them tell you. There's a whole bunch of information on our website. You can go to the main page and just click on what people are saying. Don't forget about our event. If you didn't get, you can take a quick screenshot of this. If you didn't get this information, send us an email and we'll send it out to you next week. We do have a special offer for our investor inspiration people today. We appreciate you coming out with us. We've got our one and done VIP offer. That includes lifetime licenses of all of our indicators. That's lifetime license of any future indicator that we use in the trade room. Lifetime trade room membership. Lifetime, I mentioned that fast forward program or the accelerated learning program. We'll be talking about that next week. Our group mentoring, our AHA sessions, the things that I learned along the way to shift my perspective on trading and what it was I was actually trying to accomplish. We have group sessions on that. Priority support, we'll sponsor you in a Top Step Trader Combine where you can qualify for a funded account. We have an easy installation package, and we're going to do that for only $42.45, which is an $8.50 savings. If you want to go a little bit slower, we have our pullback bundle, which is all of the indicators I showed you today. It does not include a number of things that the VIP does include, and we'll do that for $17.70, and this is going to expire on Wednesday, I guess that is. Okay. You can go to our specials page. There it is. I'm not sure if Lisa can put that. Yeah, I guess she can. And we take PayPal or any credit card. The PayPal thing is cool. We have a lot of people that take advantage of that because you don't have to do anything for 6 months. So that gives you some time to get comfortable working with and using the indicators, learning about bunt trading more. Okay? So I had to kind of hurry this through at the end. We have an awful lot of information available. If you want to contact Connor down here on the right, tell him that you want more information about how this whole bunt trading works. We have a ton of videos. We would love to have you watch our videos and learn more about us. Ask our Lisa for references. We have gobs and gobs of people that just love to talk about us and how much we've helped their trading. Don't take it from me, okay?